This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, that's fucking great. That's awesome. I just love them. And okay, I'm gonna do something very uncharacteristic again for me. I've been doing a lot of uncharacteristic shit.
I agree.
I'll hold this up so you can see it. Can you see what that is?
Yeah, that looks like our man Dick Bourne's new book, The Crown Jewel, the story of the NWA World Title from what, like 59 to 73.
Yeah, and you need to send me Dick's number so that I can thank him personally, because this is my favorite championship belt of all time, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship from, as you said, 1959 to 1973. This is the belt that was worn by Pat O'Connor, Gene Kiniski, Buddy Rogers, Dory Funk Jr. Harley Race wore it for a few short weeks or months before he dropped it on July 20th, 1973 in Houston, Texas to Jack Briscoe in the third fall with the Luthez Press. But it's interesting. And as I look back at some of the pictures that he has of this particular belt, you know, as a kid, you fantasize, and I got to hold this belt when on July 20th, 1973 in Houston, Texas at the Sam Houston Coliseum. I was sitting in Section 5, Row 12, Seat 8. And Jack Atkinson, better known as Fritz von Erich, was holding this particular belt, and I asked him if I could look at it and hold it, and he did for a second. But to me, it was always thick
belt,
gold and heavy, and it just appears to be very thin in real life, and that's bothering me a little bit.
Well, it's when you're a kid, everything seems bigger and larger than life, and then you become an adult, and you're like, well, maybe not so much. But this belt is, I know you've told me for years and years, it was your favorite of all the NWA world titles. You grew up on this one. And of course it was replaced by what we now know as the 10 pounds of gold. And then of course, big gold, but this was like your one. So when Dick told me he was doing a book on this and he sent me a copy, I said, hey, did you send one to Bruce? And he said, man, that's a great idea. I'm going to send it to his address. I said, well, hang on. He's moved since she wrote the last one. Here's the new address. And, you got a special one, but everybody can grab their own right now over at midatlanticgateway.com, or you can just look for it on Amazon. It's called Crown Jewel, the NWA World Championship from 1959 to 1973. And our old pal Dick Bourne, who did the Horseman book, he did the Big Gold book, he did the 10 pounds of gold book. His belt series continues. And, I thought this would be right up your alley. So I'm glad A, you got it, and B, you remembered to put it over here for Dickie.
It is. Well, because I damn near read almost half of it, just, you know, in bits and pieces and the parts that I wanted to read about. Pardon me. And the part about Salvador Luteros Jr. and getting the jeweler in Mexico City to do the championship, which I had told you guys about, and some people poo-pooed me, but it's a very, very interesting read if you're into that kind of thing. And it's the Holy Grail. And it was funny because I'd always noticed that there were two different straps on this belt, two different leathers. But I always thought that, man, you know, in the old days, maybe they're just touching up the picture, making the strap look bigger in different parts. But the leather that Dory had on his was a much softer leather than the normal championship belts at that time. And I always thought that was cool as hell. Don't know why, but, you know, Thesz taking the belt. And then the fact that the globe, the world globe on the one when Dory got it, that came off. And for years, I always thought that it was all just one piece, and it wasn't. That's freaking me out too.
Really cool book. So anyway, check it out over at Amazon.com or midatlanticgateway.com. Shout out to Dick Bourne, one of the best wrestling book writers around.
Yes, sir. I highly recommend it.
Let's talk.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.